All right, reduction gear screen. From this screen, you get a good understanding of how a reduction gear looks. You see that a pinion drives a gear, drives a pinion, drives a bull gear. So you can see where my power turbine comes out. You see your triple S clutch here on both sides. With this screen also, you have every bearing, you have their alarm set point, and you know where the bearing is in relation to its location on the gear. All this is on the gear itself, but it's hard to understand, it's hard to visualize. So early on, we had this screen for 2 years prior to the crews getting it. Crews would come in for training and they fell in love with this gear, or this picture of the gear, because it just gave them a better understanding. Most sailors would go their whole life and never see a gear apart. So this gives them a better understanding of how that all works. So when we operate, we'll have our main engines up, but we'll also keep this page up. So you get it just gives you a comfort level knowing that your reduction gear is fine. So that's about all I wanted to say on that. So is there anything else that you want to ask or not?
Each of those numbers on the screen represents a bearing.
So yes, each of those numbers represent a bearing, so it comes down here to the corresponding bearing. Also, we have the temperature, and then we have the alarm set point. So the way they set the alarm set points is you run a full power for 4 hours, and then you add 5 degrees. You see where the bearing goes, you add 5 degrees. So every ship will have a different alarm set point. We have our own here, the ships have their own there. So these are their alarm points. You'll have a bar graph here, so and it'll go green, and then it goes red when you go high. So it's pretty easy to understand. All right?
So one other thing, one of the facts that you have an MRG as a test site, what advantage does that give the Navy having this site here?
Okay, so the advantage of LBES is we can test all the software that goes to the fleet. That's one of the things. So when we first started this site in 1989, they thought it was going to be for 2 ships. I think that's what the plan was. They thought all the software would be the same throughout. We know software changes. So there's software that runs this, right, the console. There's software that runs the engine controllers. We build and test that here. There's software that runs the generators. We build and test that here. So all that, we're allowed to test that before it gets to the fleet. So most of the stuff, by the time we run it hot, all the bugs are worked out, most of the bugs. All right, so we try to prevent bad stuff going to the ship. Now with a brand new flight of software, basically that's going to come with some problems. So you start with a big pile of problems, then you cut the problems down. So that's one of the advantages. Another advantage we have here is we bring every crew in. Every pre-com crew from the DDG 51 class has been here. So they come for 4 weeks. We had the 117 crew coming in March of 2018. We just had the 116 crew in. So they come in for a month, they do simulation, they do a week of learning their equipment, and they do a week of hot plant, and then a week of the electrical generator, where we'll do some fault insertions and troubleshooting. So another big advantage is when they come in, they get to meet the SMEs. So when they call back with a problem, they already have a little bit of a relationship with these people. So it's a little bit easier to deal with. Hey, I'm Billy, remember we met? Okay, so it helps solve the problem that way. Another thing we do here, somebody has a new widget that they want to sell the Navy. So we get the widget here, right? So if it works, it works. We're like the good housekeeping seal of approval. It's not that we don't care if it works. We want to make sure that it works and it's good for the sailors. Our job is to make their job a little bit easier, right? So we don't want to give them a piece that doesn't work, right? That's just going to give them a headache. So through the years, they come with wireless sensors, alternative fuels, purifier changes, compressor changes. All that stuff can be done here, ran in a real environment before it goes to the ship. So we always hear it worked in the lab, but then it doesn't always work when you put it in real use. So, okay. Thank you.